Hello and welcome to the Mind, Body, and Tech, where I'm thrilled to have Sandra Golbreich with us today. She's a powerhouse in the venture capital world, a general partner at Baltic Sandbox Ventures, and a champion for diversity and education in the tech industry. So today we will pick Sandra's brain on the strategic mindset, decision making, and so much more. So let's start. Sandra, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So let's start with a thing that is maybe interesting for everyone. Um, what frameworks you using to guide your decisions? I suppose you have a lot of decisions every day.
Well, yeah, and part of those decisions I'm luckily not thinking about, just making them unconsciously. Otherwise, I would go crazy like all the other people. But what types of decisions we're talking to? Are we talking about professional investment decisions, or are we talking about some decisions on the personal level?
Let's start from personal and then go to professional. I'm really interested in both.
Well, I think the decisions on the personal level are made on some sort of this framework. Like, do I have time for it? No. Okay, I'm doing it anyway. That's simple.
Okay. What about like complex decisions?
Well, I mean, first of all, I like to put things on paper, and I like this mind mapping and this stuff. So I'm basically sometimes I'm making the list, sometimes I'm making some pros and cons and everything. But I think the main not it's not the framework, the main mental exercise I would say that I'm using is what are the consequences of this decision, right? What is the best case scenario, what is the worst case scenario, what will be happening if I'm making this decision like this, what I'm happening when I'm making this decision like this. Because in many cases when you have to make some, let's say, bad decisions and pleasant decisions, those that you don't want to make, the things that you're afraid of is what's going to come after it. And when you're actually thinking about what's going to come after it and what is the worst possible thing that could happen, and how would I treat this worst possible thing that will happen after I make this decision, if I'll be looking at it after 5 years. So I'm looking back after 5 years and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, this and that happened. Would it be the worst disaster of my life, or would it be just regular, okay, it happens, we're moving on? It actually helps you to distress somehow the decision making process, and to figure out, okay, so if the worst is that is happening, it's this. I'm taking my responsibility for this. I'm having these consequences, and I'm just moving on.
Nice one. So how about risk assessment? I mean, venture business is riskiest one, right? So how you make decisions when you need to count this in, like how you make decision when you invest.
Oh, well, that's a complicated topic. I have a course on it for like 25 hours of material.
Oh
Oh,
no
it's
no no! Please
yeah.
be shorter.
Yeah, but in general, first of all, venture capital is supposed to be risk capital. And for the last several years, I'm ranting around about it because my colleagues in the industry tend to forget it. And they tend to try to figure out too much things. You see, the main trick with the venture capital, you're making a decision now, but you're making a decision now about something, especially at the early stage, because we're very early stage, about something that is going to happen from 8 to 10 years. So technically, unless you have some special skills to see the future or something like this, or a crystal ball, you have no idea what's going to happen in 10 years. I mean, if in 2019 I would tell you about COVID, about Ukraine, about Israel, about what's happening, and I'm Israeli, I'm a Jew, by the way, you would say like, Sandra, are you crazy? Like, what drugs are you on? Like, what's wrong with you? Now we are looking at it all and we are like, yeah, that's fine. It's not normal, but that's our new normal. And we have no idea how our new normal is going to look like in 8 to 10 years, right? So it doesn't really make sense to try to assess, okay, this is going to be there, this is going to be there. So first thing I think we're looking at is the common sense. I mean, if you are looking at, for example, different types of the markets, will they be there in 10 years? The markets that has been there like forever, I mean, mobility, hospitality, whatever, travel, something, food, water, of course, they will be there. Secondly, when it comes to us, we are a very specific type of the investor. We are deep tech and life sciences, which means that we are investing in scientists, we are investing in brains, we are investing in, let's say, the technologies that are leveraging on science, leveraging on patents, leveraging on trade secrets. In our case, we're not just looking into the future because those are, of course, technologies of the future. We are looking basically at pretty mitigatable risks because we are looking at technical risks, we are looking at team risks, we are looking at regulatory risks, IP risks, and so on. So we're practically using 7 risks framework, where part of the risks are irrelevant for us, especially at the early stage. Part of the risks are pretty much relevant, and we go with the experts to do the very deep technical due diligence. We look at the team closely, trying to figure out if they're up to it, if they will be able to do it, and so on. But when it comes to professional decision, it's mostly frameworks and gut feeling, which comes after a certain period working in the industry. And normally the gut feeling doesn't tell you that something is like really good. Oh, it's a good startup, invest in it. Normally it kind of starts, showing you the red flag. Like there are some red flags, and at some point, probably like several years ago, when there were like already some investments behind and so on, I really started paying attention to this. If I have the feeling that there is a red flag over there, it probably is. And it's probably that my consciousness kind of knows better because of all this experience, of all this background. It says me like, don't go. You don't see it yet, but don't go.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have this connection between our guts and our brain, physical connection. So you should always like trust in your gut feeling, but only based on something that you already experienced. There's no such thing like you are not a psychic. You cannot predict things. But yeah, it's based on your experience. About experience, you have a background in education, right? So how it maybe influencing or influenced you in your business decisions or when
Um,
you work with founders?
well, I have a background technically. I have masters of economics, so this one definitely influences my every investment decision.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I mean, it was 20 years ago, and going to, I still a lot of like things to say about it that probably enrolling in university when you're 16 doesn't make a lot of sense and so on. But that's like the part of the culture. But anyway, education is just a part of what I'm doing. Like it's a natural process because I work with startups. I do some workshops, for example, for like startups in acceleration incubation, because we also have, apart from the fund, we have an accelerator funds. Additionally, I work with the students in universities as a professor because that's part of my job. I mean, they at some point they could be the founders I would be investing in. At some point, so they could be the founders that I won't be investing in, but someone else from the industry will be investing in. At the end of the day, the more you share, the more you educate, the better you have the whole ecosystem, and you can do it like on the level of the accelerator, or you can do it on the level of university business school. And when it comes to decision making, well, I develop a lot of lectures for my students. I develop a lot of frameworks for my students because I don't believe in, abstract education when you just, okay, this is the theory and you should learn it and so on and so forth. I mean, and I can't imagine like a sane person who is like listening, sitting, and listening for 8 hours for the theory, and he has no idea how to use it. It just doesn't make sense. And when I'm writing this framework, it sometimes actually helps myself. I'm like, okay, nice one. I should probably try it.
Yeah, I get that. When you learning, you like you remembering a part of it. When you teaching, you finally understand what you're talking about. Yeah,
Not
I
always,
get
but
that.
sometimes you do.
Most of the time, yeah. So let's talk about some challenges. Maybe you can share some challenges that you faced in your career, something interesting, something that you can share with us.
Well, I think like in my career, I'm facing challenges every day because of who we are. Like we used to be all the time. Like we were an accelerator, and angel syndicate. Then we became a venture funds, and all this time we've been a startup by our nature. I mean, apart like other people in the industry, they were like normal people building normal things, and it was just us who were like, okay, we see this like bright future. We see this thing that no one sees, and we are going to do it. And everyone was like, guys, why are you doing it? And in 3 years, like, wow, guys, you've been doing it 3 years ago. So, but it has certain challenges, of course, because it's all the time the matter of trying to explain to people around you like what you're trying to do and what are the things that you're doing here and you're believing here. And then when we're talking about the venture capital, it's always about the uncertainty, huge level of uncertainty pretty much everywhere. It's not just like about the markets, it's markets, technologies, and everything. And then you are getting into this reality that started happening, like starting from COVID, when there is uncertainty inside of your job, there is uncertainty outside. So basically, you're matching the uncertainties together, like juggling six balls at the same time and a cat. And you just kind of, at some point, you're just trying to figure out, okay, so if there is no stepping stone here, if there is no grounds to step and grounds to kind of, there is no safe space because everything is changing so rapidly inside, outside, everywhere. So how do I kind of do it? And the changes are happening every day. So it's not, just one up when there was COVID and then the COVID ended and we are like, now we are back to normal. We are not. And we won't be. And that's basically the case. And what helps me is what we are doing. Because as I said, when we started looking like at the world in general, like war after war, crisis after crisis, I mean, marketplaces and B2B SaaS startups are really nice startups, but the problem is that when you need water and air to breathe, they won't save you. And unless you are doing something for your future, unless you are trying to put some effort into what's going to be what's going to come after, you can't feel the safety. You can't feel that the world is going to be, if not back to normal, but like a better place. And we invest in science technology. So at the end of the day, technology is defense. And we've seen it in a lot of example. And ownership of this defense technology as a state makes us politically independent. Technology is medicine because we are talking about the personalized medicine. We're talking about computation, drug discovery, and things like this. And again, owning this. And we are looking at Europe, where we have 26% of the senior population, 65 plus, and it's going to be 30% in 10 years. So the doctors that we have out there, it's not enough of those doctors. And if we can invest in medicine, if we can invest in things that either protect us, like or either can fight cancer, can help our seniors live longer, can save our children, so on and so forth. This is how you're kind of de-risking the future for yourself, at least like on the level of making it more predictable because you are doing it with your own hands. I mean, I don't understand that psychological trick. It's because you're doing it, and you're kind of, I am doing it, and this is why I'm feeling safer. But still, I mean, if we get the good results, why not? I'll feel safer.
Yeah,
They'll feel safer.
absolutely. And this is your stepping stone. I totally get that because otherwise, I mean, why bother? So, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about your goals. I really like to talk to people about their goals and how they manage and how they track goals. Can you share a bit your day to day structuring your goals and maybe you have a big goal? You probably have, right? Uh, Big and beautiful, maybe scary one. So,
Actually, don't, because it's not about the goal; it's about the journey. So the more or less
but
where
journey
you are
to
going.
where? journey
Yeah,
to where?
yeah, you know more or less where you're going. You know more or less like, okay,
Yeah.
then in 10 years it's gonna be something like this, probably like this. The thing is, at some point of my life, I got really stuck about what I'm going to do next. I used to be a startup founder. I exited from a company before, so I was like, okay, so I started working with startups as a part of the accelerator, and I was like, okay, so what am I doing? Kind of, I'm lost here. And I started thinking, okay, what do I want in 5 years? And the problem is that when you're stuck, you can't answer the question, what do you want in five
Yeah.
years? It's impossible. You can go around it, but you still won't find an answer.
It's
And
like
I
I
was
want to
like,
be better. I want to
yeah,
be better.
I want to be something. I want to be something
Yeah, yeah.
abstract. And then I was like, yeah, okay, so if I can't figure out what I want to be, where I want to be in 5 years, what I want to do in 5 years, like on all the levels, professional, personal, whatever, I'll sit down and I'll write a list of things that I don't want. And it was a very powerful list. It took me 3 weeks to write this list, like literally, because it was, yeah, I really don't want this, okay? And what is that else that I don't want, and so on. And then I looked at this list, like 3 lists, I think it was like really, really long. And I started reverse engineering, like literally, okay, I don't want this, but do I want this? Maybe. Okay, if I want this, how it should look like, and so on and so forth. And it took me another like 2 or 3 weeks, but at some point I managed to paint some sort of a picture, some sort of the, it's not the destination, but it's some sort of the milestone of this journey that is going to be there in 5 years. And funny thing, I kind of managed to describe it pretty precisely, and after 5 years, it was exactly where I was. And I think that's about being very, very honest with yourself, because if you are doing something that you really want, it actually helps. I mean, like as a part of my day job, there might be a lot of paperwork, which I truly hate. Like, I mean, I only met one person in my life who likes paperwork. That's why we hired the guy, and he's an analyst in our team. But other than that, you're practically waking up and you're figuring out, yeah, so however like bad it could be, well, I mean, like the October 7th in Israel, however much pain is out there, you wake up and you go and you start doing the things that you are doing, because those are the things that you love, those are the things that you want, and they keep you moving to the next milestone. So that's about the goals. And like, I mean, in 10 years, my professional goals is to exit from this fund. And I think it's going to be my third fund already by that moment.
I felt that. Yeah, but it's like a story of almost any venture entrepreneur, because if you are in there, it's like you cannot jump out from this if you're really into this job, into this journey. So
And you also have a binding contract with your LP, so for 10 years.
this helps, of course. Of course, yeah. Okay, so let's go into part where we discuss well-being, stress management, and everything that you said you don't know anything about. But
Now, is there going to be another speaker now?
no, I really want you to share your story about how you manage stress, because you have rather stressful job, right?
I have a stressful job. I have a stressful environment, but like, I think I'm pretty good built genetically. Like, I mean, I can handle a lot of stress. I'm fine in the stress environments. I mean, I don't like stress is basically, oh, finally, now something interesting. Now we are doing things, and so on and so forth. So when it comes to like managing stress on the daily basis, and I know that is probably bad, like having a lot of stress like every day and so on and so forth, but I'm living like this for the last 20 years, still alive. So I mean, all this, meditation techniques and everything. Probably there are people who are doing it, and probably it makes a lot of sense. I mean, like science says us that a lot of techniques to work with stress, and I'm a big believer in science. It's actually, or those are actually good things to do, but it's not about me. I mean, if
Okay.
when I start meditating, it pisses me off. So, so
Well, I'm here with you because I cannot just sit and meditate. I'm walking, and I call this meditation. And there is such thing, walking meditation. I'm like, yeah, I'm meditating. I'm fine. So, but you do you have some sort of like you going, and then you relaxing for several days, or how it goes with you, because you need to rest, right?
Almost with every person. I mean, like at some point, especially if there are a lot of travels, there are a lot of conferences, like so speeches, whatever. At the end of the day, yes, you come back home and you're like, okay, I need to rest for 2 days. I need to try to switch off my mind. I mean, we are having national holidays now in Lithuania. Yesterday and today. Yesterday, I spent the whole day in the office. Today, yeah, I'm also relaxing at the podcast. So this is how it is normally. But I mean, you need to rest. It's naturally, and you need to kind of to feel this moment. Okay, so this is the moment when I probably should take a day off or a half day off because like I kind of can't keep going. And vacation is a good thing from time to time. But last time I went on vacation, I was like, okay, guys, so you kind of don't call me or forget my phone number, all of you, especially my startup founders, my colleagues, and just don't. I'm not going to answer the phone. I lasted for 3 days, I guess.
How often you have vacations?
Like normal vacation, I think it's once a year.
Once a year. Oh, you lucky person, I must say. Okay. Can you share your like morning routine and probably how your day goes, like your normal day, how it goes, how you like start your day, and how it's basically if you have the structure, normal structure, or it's
Mm,
not.
okay, I wake up in the morning, I drink coffee without even opening my eyes. I look in my phone, I curse, and this is how my every day starts.
Okay, the most truthful story till this day on my live show. Because we have people who don't drink coffee, who drink coffee after several hours, who like and so on, who meditate in the morning. I have very like diverse guests, and it's great. But I like I've heard this morning routine from almost any startup founder, so I totally understand. Okay, how about evenings? How you wind down after this crazy day?
Well, actually, I'm a night owl, so if those days are really crazy, evening is the only time of the day where I can actually do some work because no one is distracting you. You know, everyone's gone. Like your messengers are more or less quiet, your email is more or less quiet, so you can finally do some work and stuff like this. Uh, Other than that, I mean, if I have a really free evening, friends, family, I think the usual stuff. Um, in spring and in autumn, we have a lot of conferences, like industry conferences, startup conferences, whatever. And I'm flying a lot, so for me, kind of coming back home and being, at home for some time feels pretty good.
Small vacation,
Yeah.
almost. Yeah. Okay. How about maybe you can share some, I don't know, story. Have you ever burned out? I mean, because there's a lot of people I know, especially from like tech startups, who've been on the brink of burnout or burned out. So, have you experienced something like that?
I think I did like, and it was several times. And the last time, it felt like almost a burnout when I was running the charity funds that helps Ukrainians at the same time and running my venture fund. So like two jobs in one. In It's not only a lot of stress. It's like you actually don't have time to breathe because like yeah, this one needs your attention and this one needs your attention, and it's all the time. So I think when I went to vacation, and actually I booked this vacation very much in advance, and I was almost burned out when I kind of crawled through my calendar till the day when I have to fly out. I think for the first week it was kind of, and the whole vacation was 9 days or something like this. And for the first week, I was like, who am I, what I'm doing. But I had some time to breathe. I had some time to, some privilege not to answer my phone, at least not immediately. And it kind of helps a little bit. So I came, not that I came like fully recharged, like after you, I don't know, meditate and do yoga in Bali, which I would never do probably in my life. But
Oh, never say never.
but I came back and I felt kind of, okay, so I have a little bit more space to breathe, to do things, and kind of, I need to go back to it
Mm.
anyway.
Yeah, you have, I suppose, hectic schedule, but probably you can give some, I don't know, advice for future for future self, and for maybe tech founders too, how to be better in well-being and balance in act, like how to try to be better in this, in terms of like, the older we get, the harder it's gonna be, right, to balance. So what do you think?
Well, the advice would be don't be like me. So something like this.
So advice for future you is don't be
Don't be
like
me. Yeah, but for the tech founders, the thing is that the venture capital is in general is very hectic. The venture capital is for like overachievers. I mean, for the founders as well. There are a lot of people who are doing sport as a hobby, who are doing like sport for pleasure and the stuff. But there are people who are doing Olympics, and those Olympics are not really good for them. They're not really good for their
Yeah.
health. They're not really good for their, like mindfulness and like stress management level and everything, but they're doing it anyway. And it's the same basically here. So either if you choose this, if you choose to go this path, venture capital, and like have been a startup founder, especially being a startup founder, have kind of so much, you know, um, I would like to hug those guys sometimes because they having like crazy stress all the time. I've been a startup founder, I know it. Like, and on the part of the venture fund, the only thing that I can do is kind of to give them an opportunity to a little bit relieve their stress, but it won't be there. I mean, I know one of my founder, he's doing some sort of swimming in cold water. I think the other one is doing some yoga or something, some sports. Not that it's really helping. If you're in this game, it's limits. And if you're like, especially if you startup, I mean, if you startup is dead in the first year, okay, kind of, you can live with it. You'll probably go find yourself a nice job in the bank, will be home at 5 p.m. and everything's going to be fine in your life. But if you're stuck in this game, and if your startup is really picking up, and the startup is always this ups and downs and everything, like today you might be the king of the world, tomorrow you will start everything from scratch. If you don't feel like you can handle things like this, don't go there. I'm pretty seriously about it.
Yeah. Burnout is almost like, every founder's game, especially after fundraising, especially a few last years. Like, it's. I hope it's gonna be a bit easier, but I don't think it's gonna be easier for deep tech, for example.
It's
Um,
it's just a different game. I mean, DeepTech is a
yeah,
different game. Our founders, they're less about, like marketing budgets, competitional marketing budgets, essentially, and a little bit less about, so let's say, different types of traditional businesses. They're more about technologies. Our founders are in the labs. They're in universities. They're in garages. We're literally like invest in the garage band guys, like Google type, but another type of Google. And the way kind of they are dealing with things is very different. It doesn't mean that they don't have stress. They do have the same stress. It's just they have probably a different, type of purpose, and also something tangible when they're, developing their brilliant technology.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay. Let's talk about tech. As we started to talk about tech, can you share like what inspired you to start your Women in Tech and Women Investing in Tech programs?
It was 2019. And when Yeah, I saw the when I saw the statistics. So when we started our first acceleration, step back from 2019 to 2017, when we started our acceleration programs, the diversity into like in the founding teams was really really bad, and we started thinking like, why is that? I mean, girls don't do startups. Like, what's the problem, and so on and so forth. Despite the fact like that there was like enough diversity like on the senior partnership level on our team. So at some point in 2019, I decided to check this hypothesis. Let's try to run a program that is called Women in Tech and invite female founders or co-founders only. And we were surprised because we have like tons of applications. Kind of, it wasn't just we never had as much in the regular program as we had in this program, and we were like, oh wow, like what is happening? Why is this happening? And I was kind of pretty in 2018. I think I was like kind of pretty not really big believer in women something events. I was like, yeah, okay, why can't we be, treated equally with men and so on? Why do we need this women in staff and so on and so forth? And then I started talking to those founders, and then I realized that what I've been doing for all my life, because like if I'm trying to get there, I have to run 4 times faster than a guy. When I started the first business, and it was 20, and when I was trying to make some business contacts, it was a small advertising agency, like tiny to people. Everyone was like, "Yeah, girl, we need to talk to your manager." And I was trying to say I was a manager, and no one listened to me. And this problem wouldn't have happened to me if I was a guy. If I was a guy who's 20-year-old, they would say, yeah, you're young, but you're brilliant. You're probably going to get there. And in my case, it was always I want to talk to a manager. And I thought like, okay, probably if we have that much applications, let's give it a chance. So we launched this Women in Tech Acceleration Program. And then we had a demo day. And then at Demo Day, I came to the stage and I started talking about the program. And then I saw this first 2 rows of investors, most of them are guys, of course, sitting like looking at our, I waiting for the pitches. And I was like, yeah, okay. So now I want you to do the mental experiments. Close your eyes and picture the founder, the best founding team that you want really to invest in. Who are those people? What is their backgrounds? Like, what's their education? What are they doing? And so on. And now open your eyes, and those who pictured one woman in any of those teams, raise your hand. And it was 0 hands. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I realized that they don't actually even kind of treat my founders equally, that they don't even think about them equally, that it's this bias is so deep that my founders will have problems fundraising. And they did. And there is a very very small amount of women in venture capital, especially on the partner roles. If we are looking, for example, at DeepTech and life sciences, I'm the only female general partner in the whole region. One, just one. Because all 99, 95 to 99% of the funds, like on the board level, on the partner level, they're all men. And I was like, yeah, okay, but what is happening? Women actually invest, women actually exit from the businesses, women have money. So how can we kind of put them closer, and how can we kind of start, closing this gap? Because female investors would obviously invest in female startups. And this is how we started Women Investing in Tech, which is a business angel school, like School for the Future Business Angels, that teaches business angels how to invest basically in startups. And we have like different formats from 5 weeks to 9 months. In Women Invest in Tech, when we first launched, we had I think probably 50 applications. It was crazy. Like regular at school, probably 15, 1 5, and here is 55 0. And I'm really proud that one of my alumni of the first school, she became the business angel of the year in Estonia.
Mm.
And I was really happy. And those female angels who went through the schools in I can't say, I think it's 100 plus. I can't tell the exact number now. They already invested approximately from 1 to 1.5 million, and those are only the deals that I'm following. And we also launched the community that is called Women with Wings. This is the community for alumni for the programs of the programs for the angels, and also female fund managers, female investment directors, female people in the female senior roles in the accelerators and so on. So all the women in the industry, so we can talk to each other, like in a more or less safe atmosphere. We can share the deals, we can do things, and so on and so forth. And we meet offline from time to time. We met in Riga, we met in Prague, we will be meeting in Vilnius. So depending like in which region we're meeting, people are coming in, we're just talking about things together, and it's actually very powerful. In the latest statistics from 2021, I guess, were that out of 100% of venture investments in Europe, 83% are invested into the all male team. 16% is invested into the diverse male and female teams, and 1% is invested into the all female teams. So that's the gap. And until this ratio would look at least like 20 to 80 or something like this, I won't stop with what I'm doing.
Wow. Yeah, we have a question for you. Hi, Sandra. A bit of hard topics. Having World War III coming as a VC to DeepTech, how do you see investments into miltech and dual use things? Because the early stage is an investment into people, but this at the same time, to be successful in such a domain, the team needs to be close to the clients with all the related life risks.
Yeah, okay, that's actually a very interesting topic because I first started talking about the dual use and military tech in 2021. Probably in everyone was like, yeah, Sandra, what you're talking about, this kind of developments, they belong to like big companies who are serving like the governments and so on. In those companies kind of have their subcontractors and stuff like this. Don't even go there. No one is investing in miltech. And it was true because it was highly regulated area. It was the area that was pretty much closed for anyone's money except for the people who are already in the industry. But what the war in Ukraine did, it actually turned down the barrier for the development of the dual use tech or military tech, like dependent defense, offense, whatever. Because Ukraine needs all the tech that they need, and they need it yesterday. So a lot of requirements were dropped, a lot of barriers were just waived. In At the end of the day, if you would be looking at like typical military tech thing that would take you ages to test the war polygons to develop and so on, now it takes you sometimes 3 weeks to bring the new tech to Ukraine, at least from Lithuania, where we are based. And finally, our governments in like other world governmental organizations, they figured that we actually need military tech, or surprise, and they actually figured that there is not that much innovation in the industry because there are not that much startups in the industry. So there were several initiatives that were launched. It was NATO innovation funds with 1 billion under management that are investing in different type of deep tech and all your startups. It's Diana program, the NATO acceleration program with the testing sites, with all the connections and so on and so forth. And there were several the military tech funds in Europe that were launched, including one in Lithuania, and a lot of funds who were deep tech initially. They started investing in dual use as well, and we invest in dual use as well. For example, from our 12 recent investments, 5 are dual use, and we are in progress with 9 deals now, out of which 5 are dual use. So it's a lot. Like, I mean, before we didn't do investments like this. But the thing is, if I would be kind of happy if we would have started it 3 years ago, because when we are looking at the situation of war, when we are looking at the situation of Third World War coming, and by the way, you're right. I was at this conference in Prague 2 weeks ago. I was talking about defense, dual use, and stuff. And in the morning, I talked to my friend from Ukraine. He runs the software development company, and he called me. And he told me, we developed this application to teach people tactical medicine. Could you help me to bring this application to your government? And I said, like, look, we are, Lithuania, we don't have war. I mean, I understand how you feel. And he said, like, Sandra, we were sitting together in 2021, and we were talking in December, and we were talking about the possibility of the war in Ukraine. And you told me, don't be delusional, they will never invade you, it's impossible. If I would have asked you about Israel, you would have told me the same. Don't be delusional. There can't be any war. We like had that many wars ago, and now you're sitting and telling me there won't be any war like in Baltics. We are NATO. You can't invade us. And I was like, yeah, I get you, and I'm feeling that it's kind of bullshit. So of course I started talking to the government about this application, but also started talking to the governments of other countries and to people at this conference. And I said, like, look, if we all feel safe here, still feel safe here for some reason, I suggest we don't. I suggest we
Yeah.
stop feeling safe and start doing things in the miltech. And I suggest we invest more. We look at different aspects of the defense, different aspects of security, and some funds are looking at different aspects of offense. Sometimes you just invest in something that is defense and it turns into offense. Happens.
Yeah.
And we need more of it, and we need more money in this market, and we need this money yesterday, actually, to be honest. So
Yeah. Agree. Okay, let's like finish on some good note. In terms of tech, because you have so many information about emerging trends in tech, is there something that you are excited about?
all of it. Well, there are actually some things that are probably only possible now if we're talking about different types of functional genomics, personalized medicine, computation, drugs discovery, things like this. There are two, let's say, two things about it. First, the power of the computers that could work with this different this tons of data and everything, and the second one is regulations. And if we are pretty much there, like not there yet, but I mean quantum computing is coming and everything, and the performance of the computers is always improving. So if on the, let's say, computer power side we're getting closer and closer, we are not getting closer on the regulatory side yet. But then again, when we had this COVID situation, the regulatory side and all the FDA approvals and all the stuff, somehow it flew pretty quickly. So once the governments, because that's the second topic for me after like the defense, once our governments in Europe finally start to realize it and to look at our statistics, they're not a secret, like every governmental body can look it up in the internet. 25% of the 65 plus population. We are on the verge of the like biggest crisis of the medicine like that ever happened in history, because aging population, lack of doctors, like a lot of um, like new diseases coming, things, a lot of changes, and so on and so forth. And unless we figure out, to how to regulate things properly, because the regulations haven't changed for 30 years, it's just there are more and more and more of them, and most of those regulations don't actually make sense anymore. And most of those regulations are useless in terms of protecting the patient or patient data, because it can't even hurt patient in any way. So I hope the governments will finally, start thinking about it, and we are trying to help them to do this as well. I would say more like nudge than help, but whatever. It's gonna be a future of medicine. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be very very different, because I'm excited all the time. I'm working with all those teams. Some of them are looking at different types of molecular delivery, immune therapy when it comes to cancer. Some of them are looking at something else, some precision medicine, something, and it's amazing. And then we start talking, okay, guys, when they're going to be in the markets, how we can do things. And they said, like, yeah, first 5 years of clinical trials, then like FDA approval, then something, something. And in many cases, they're just software. And you're like, oh my God, okay, I understand it. So probably one of the things I'm most excited about, and one of the things we're putting a lot of effort, medtech and life sciences.
Mhm. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing everything, like not holding back. I really appreciate that. And you're a crazy busy person. So I appreciate that you're spending this time with us.
Thank you
And
for inviting me.
I wish you incredible weekend. And so you get a lot of rest and no more stresses as if it's possible. And thank you very much. Okay,
Thank
guys,
you.
bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Thank you.